Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on Happy RC Flyer here on YouTube. Today we have a special treat for you. You guys have seen me posting clips about slope soaring, and here where we're at is on the slopes, and so we're going to show you a little bit of that today. I am by no means a professional in this. My friend Tim, big thanks to Tim for introducing me to slope soaring, and kind of a secret spot here. I won't be telling you where it's at, but it is a lot of fun. And there's a few of them flying right now, so it's a little bit distracting. They're flying. We've been flying this afternoon, and you can see the sun is pretty much on the horizon, so it's going down. I don't have much time to film, but I've been kind of teasing about making a video. We've been wanting to make a video on slope soaring and some of the basics and some planes that are nice to do it with, and some basics on how to get started, because if you don't know much about it, it is kind of hard to get started. It's sort of like those paramotors, that they're a lot of fun, but if you don't have anybody to kind of give you some pointers and help you get started, then it can seem pretty intimidating. But if you haven't done so already, please take time to subscribe. Subscribing helps the channel grow, and we're here to help grow the hobby. If you like that unsponsored, unbiased perspective on things, which means I don't make any money on these videos, I don't make any money on the products, I just do it for fun as a recreational flyer and for the enjoyment of RC, and to hopefully pique your interest and keep you interested in the hobby of RC. It's a lot of fun, and I'm always happy to promote the hobby. So if you like that perspective, then make sure that you take time to subscribe. We've got some planes flying over right now. Speaking of slope soaring, look at that. Isn't that cool? These guys are just having a blast. So anyway, take time to subscribe. Hit the big thumbs up button if you like this kind of video. Turn on the bell icon if you want to get notified of future video uploads, and make sure you share this with a friend. So let's get into it. This is a little plane that I picked up from a swap meet here not too long ago. I'm not a super big fan of the color scheme of it, but it is high visible. You can see the bottom of it, and I believe this is what they call the Zagi wing. A lot of you guys have seen the Zagi wings. Most of the time they'll come with like a little motor pod you can put here. And this one I got at an auction. I was just kind of been interested in trying some more wings. I was thinking like FPV, but I saw this and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. That's meant for slope soaring, and somebody already had it set up. Anyway, it was at a swap meet where they had an auction at the end for all the stuff that like didn't sell, and this was in the auction, and I picked it up. I was the only bidder at $5, so I got this thing for $5. I can't believe it. And it's pretty well built. It's got these it's kind of interesting how they did the tape on the end. Oh, that's kind of a unique way of putting tape through there, through the winglets to hold them on. Oh, looks like I've got a little crack there, so I'll try to be careful with it. But anyway, just basically 2 servos is all you need, and these servos are buried in here, and then of course the cable comes in here and does like a, I don't know, maybe a 45-degree turn and comes out over here. I'll show you on the sticks. And so when you're slope soaring, you don't need a motor pod, and you definitely don't have to worry about you know, cutting your hands when you're launching it. So we're going to launch it here in a little bit. I'm still playing around with the CG. I believe these marks on the bottom are for CG. It's got a couple little divots here, so we're pretty close on that. I did have to put a flight pack in from my DLG glider, and then I did add another little, I think it's 1/4 ounce of weight, and then of course I had to put a receiver in it. So, but the wing came, it was $5. I got the wing in the servos, and I've been pretty impressed with it. It is definitely bumpy. This is not a first plane that you want to take out for learning to slope soar. I would say a really good trainer, a really good first plane is something like the E-Flight Conchindo. And so we've been flying. I've been flying my Conchindo earlier, and then I just wanted to get the little Zagi wing out, give it a try. Look at these guys. Isn't that cool? I'll put the name for that one on the screen. I don't remember what it's called right off. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but the shorter they are, like the wings, they just fly really short coupled, and so it is rather interesting how it flies. It's very touchy. It's like pitchy. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Doesn't that look like a bird? Look at this one coming over. But anyway, you can kind of see what they're doing. The wind is coming off the field. The wind is kind of blowing this way, and so we're facing the wind. You might be able to hear some wind on the microphone. I'll try to clean up the video so you can be able to hear it. But basically you're catching the wind as the wind blows in a certain direction. It's steady wind, and then as it hits the bank, it kind of follows the bank up. And so you get this a little bit, maybe we'd call it like a invisible escalator effect. And so the wind is kind of coming up this way. So your lift is kind of coming up that way. So if you stay straight, you either stall out and you can blow you back into the bank. You don't want to get up over the bank, because then the air as it comes up can start to swirl a little bit at the top of the ridge. So you don't want to go on that side of it. It can feel real solid at the top of the ridge, all the wind coming up, and then as soon as you get behind that ridge where it starts rolling, it can suck you under. So that's kind of a dangerous place to play. It's better to stay part way down. This is not much of a ridge. This is definitely not anything like, you know, what they would have along the coastline of the west coast or east coast, where the wind is coming off the shore and you have like a big bank or a cliff. But hey, this is what we got to work with, and we've had a lot of fun out here. So again, the wind comes up, and ideally you want to go along the edge of the bank, and so you want to kind of ride it, and it's sort of like a slip turn. I don't think I've talked much about slip turns, but if you've been around aviation very much, you'll know that some airplanes like to do slip turns, and basically that's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of slipping along the bank, so you're kind of crabbing, if you know what it is like to land in a crosswind. It's sort of like that, but you have lift at the same time you're crabbing. So you go that way, and then you turn around and you come back, and you turn around and come back, and it's just following the bank. You don't need a motor. You can fly pretty much all day if you want, or as long as you have wind and long you have you know, your batteries powering up your servos and everything. So yeah, you just go back and forth. There's some general rules to keep you from getting in a pinch. One of them is you don't ever turn towards the bank. You always turn away from the bank. So you just turn into the wind, and that's kind of a good rule in aviation anyway. So as you're going along and you get to the end, you want to turn and come back this way. You dip your wing just a little bit, you bank and roll into the wind, and so that way you're getting wind on the underside of you, is helping lift you. But you don't want to keep your belly exposed to the wind too much, because then it'll blow you, it'll flip you backwards and flip you into the bank, or, you know, flip you up over the edge. And if you get turned to go with the wind, then you don't have any lift. It's basically like you're in a stall. So a lot of these planes that we're flying out here don't have motors on them, like the Conchindo, the E-flite Conchindo. They do have motors, but like that one there doesn't have a motor. And so if you get in a stall, there's no way to bring it out of it. It's good to start with a plane that has a motor, so that way you can bail out if you need to in emergency. So you can kick the motor on and throttle out of it. But when you're flying this close to the bank, you know, you're 5 feet away to anywhere from wing touch to 5 or 10 feet out from the bank. You know, by the time you realize your stall, you really don't even have time to kick your motor on. So and then if you want to bring it in and you want to land it, you're better off to do it kind of down on the flats if you can, because trying to land on the bank is just really tough. But it could be brutal, and that's why you want to bring stuff like this out to slope soar. I wouldn't recommend like maidening an airplane out here on the slopes. That's probably not a good idea. You kind of want a good feel for how it flies before you bring it out here. That way you can know, you know, if you start getting a wingtip. That way you know if it's stalling, so forth and so on. So anyway, let's get this little Zagi in the air. I believe that's what it's called. I think it's like 4 foot and 1 inch wingspan or something like that. And I brought it out today to maiden it and try it out. And I will probably change the color scheme on it, or at least trim it out a little bit, make it look a little cool. Not a big fan of pink. I got some buddies that like pink airplanes, but I'm not that way. There's nothing wrong if you like that, but I'll probably change the color scheme of it. So, but anyway, for $5, I thought, well, it's worth a try. And nobody else wanted it. They were just going to throw it away. So, put a receiver and a battery pack in it, and it's a lot of fun. So, again, it is really pitchy. So when you see it flying, I'll get my camera adjusted here. When you see it flying around, you'll see that it's really pitchy, and the wind is a little bit bumpy here as the sun is setting. It's pretty much set. The wind is dying off quite a bit. So anyway, let's quit wasting time and fly a little bit. You always want to check your wing surfaces, of course. This one, as we mentioned already, you don't have to worry about chopping your hand. There's no way to do that. You have to excuse the wiring mess here because it's not really permanent. It's just kind of temporary for today, and then I'm going to readjust everything. So All right, we'll stand up. We have the slopes. Oh no, they're down there. I don't know, they might come over this way, but we'll try to watch for them. So anyway, this only has 2 control surfaces, so it's like Elevon mix if you're wondering how to set it up. So that way when you pull back on the stick, you can see they both work as elevator, and then they both work together as ailerons. So then if you have elevator and ailerons, it's Elevons. And if you need help setting something like that up, you can let me know in the comments. I can make a video on setting it up, but I think that's pretty much the basic, it's pretty much the easiest way to set up airplane. But anyway, that being said, this is bank and yank, and it is a little harder to slope soar, I think anyway. I'm used to a rudder, which gives you a little more stability in the yaw, but for this one, you really have to bank around quite a bit. So this is going to fly a lot more twitchy and pitchy than an airplane that has, you know, a little longer airframe and not so short coupled. So basically we'll walk up here just a little bit, get a little more wind because the wind is dying off. If you want less wind to fly in, you just fly down at the bottom of the slope. If you want a little more wind, part way up. If you want the most wind, you can stand on the ridge. One thing that's nice about standing on the ridge is you can look down at your plane or look over level to your plane. So that is one thing that's nice about slope soaring versus thermaling, where you're just staring up at the sky and could hurt your neck. So all right, here we go. Let's give it a try. Just give it a toss. We don't have much wind out there. This one, oh, we're down in there where there's not much wind. We're probably gonna have to walk down and get it. Yep, we stalled out. So anyway, walk and grab this. The wind is definitely dying down. So, wow. I might get the DLG out. Again, if you're not used to slope soaring, don't get a DLG and come out to the slopes for your first time. Fly something foam, fly something that's more forgiving and not as twitchy. My DLG, I don't have a whole lot of experience with that, but I have been tinkering around with them for maybe about a year or so, which is still not much experience compared to the guys that, you know, are professional at it. I was still learning to give it a good throw. The little E-Flight Whippet, the E-Flight UMX Whippet that you guys seen some videos on my channel about. Some of you guys have asked me about where to get them, and I hope that Horizon will come back out with those again, because they're a lot of fun. They're really good for introducing people to DLG and slope soaring, that sort of thing. But that really wet my whistle and gave me an appetite for slope soaring and gliding and just what we'd call the invisible elevator. So anyway, let's give it another try here. I'm gonna go down into the wind, just give it a toss. Again, it is really pitchy until you get some speed up, and I don't think we have enough speed, airspeed. The wind is dying off. You can see we are staying up, but it's not flying real solid. We're going a little slow. I've noticed that with this, the more airspeed that you have, the more solid it flies. And I had never, prior to grabbing up this wing and find out it had no motor on it, I had never thought about taking a wing and sloping a wing. So I know some guys probably do it, but so anyway, it's fun. Again, it's very twitchy compared to most planes that you're going to want to take out on the slopes. This is definitely not something that I would recommend a beginner to do. And you can see with my flying skills, I wouldn't call myself professional. It's still a little tricky to keep it up just because it's so twitchy. And I do have 35% expo programmed into this. So, but it is fun. You can see we'll get it out there a little bit. Wings are a little harder to see when you're flying. That's another thing to think about. But it's definitely staying up. And like I said, for $5, you know, that's about the price of a candy bar now. So for the price of a candy bar, this thing has already lasted a lot longer. And I'll probably do some tweaking around on it. I'll probably paint some different colors on it. I'd like to have some black stripes on the bottom of it. That would help distinguish a little better. And then I'm not sure what I'll do to the wingtips, but I'm gonna paint it or do something to it. We'll see. But anyway, this is a lot of fun. I have a little 600 milliamp pack in there. It's a flight pack, a life pack. because you don't want to be plugging a LiPo battery right into your receiver. You can fry your receiver pretty quickly, so make sure that if it's a slope soaring plane, if you don't have your power, your battery flight pack running through an ESC, that you make sure that you have it set up for a life pack, so you're getting the proper voltage. So look up the proper voltage for your receiver, and also look up the proper voltage for your servos, because your receiver might handle the voltage. Some of the newer receivers handle higher voltage than the older ones, but maybe your servos don't. So that's something to look at. So I got a little too slow there. Wind died off a little bit. And I don't know if we can work our way back up. We got to stay a little closer to the hill when the wind is kind of slight. You want to stay close to the hill. You can work your way back up. This one you kind of have to have speed to get turned around. Most planes you would have a rudder, so you can do a quick, not quite a tail over, but this you definitely have to bank and yank, because that's all you have to work with. So there's no gyro in this. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this receiver is an older Spectrum receiver, and so there's no gyro. This is just full manual. A gyro would smooth it out a little bit, but sometimes you got to watch flying on the slopes. You really got to be kind of in tune with the plane. You want to know kind of how it flies. Obviously, with these non-powered planes, you're going to be kind of limited to how you can maiden them. So the maiden was just tossing it into the wind, but I did start at the bottom of the hill earlier, and there's a lot less wind, and kind of did just a little bit of a glide, and I found out I had to add a little bit of weight. So it came with a NiCad battery in it. I'm trying to remember if it was like a 400 milliamp, I think is what it was. So it's had its better days for sure, but now it's got a life pack in it, so I did have to add a little more weight. And for what it is, it flies really well. This is a ton of fun. I don't know how well you guys are able to see it. I know it's getting dark. I don't know if my camera's working too well, but if you're able to see it, I hope it translates into some smiles. I know I'm definitely smiling. It's a unique experience. And as I mentioned earlier, it's something that's a little hard to get into by yourself, unless you're pretty persistent. It's sort of like the paramotors. You know, if you have somebody to set them up, and you have somebody to give you some pointers on how to launch them, and the weather conditions and stuff like that, then it's helpful. But if not, it can be discouraging. A lot of guys have been discouraged with it. That's sort of the way slope soaring is. You know, a good location, you want the wind coming right at the hill. If you got wind at an angle, it's going to act a little funny, and you might have a lot of lift going one direction, you turn the other way and you have nothing, and that could be kind of discouraging. So just like those paramotors, the conditions need to be right. It's not something you're going to do every day. I am accumulating some sloping planes because my friends have invited me to this secret spot. So we've had a lot of fun here, and I appreciate them inviting me here. But again, it's not something that you get to do every day. So a lot of times they invite me, I'm busy working, or I'm out of town and I can't come. And so this afternoon happened to be one of those times I had the day off and was able to come and visit and enjoy some fun. So the wind is definitely dying off, but this thing is staying up pretty well. I do have a little nose weight that I could pull out, but I can definitely tell that it's getting harder to keep it up, harder to keep it aloft, and you got to really whip it around there. So yeah, but again, I guess what I was trying to point out is the fact that you know, slope conditions are not every day, but when it's too windy, or when most people think it's too windy to fly at your airfield, find a good slope, have a lot of fun. And you can see this slope here is not very tall. It's probably equal to the height of that tree over there. So I don't know what that would be, maybe 60, 80 feet, something like that. And this is enough to have fun. So this is nothing comparison to, you know, what guys are doing on the coast, but hey, for what we have and being close to home, this is pretty fun. So anyway, hopefully you guys can see that, and hit the thumbs up if you like these kind of videos. We can do a more proper tutorial on slope soaring when the conditions are better and it's daylight and it's not so cold, and we actually have one of the other planes that's ready to fly. You can see this wing is just starting to lose speed. Oh, we're flying lower and lower, and we really need to work our way up. See if we can work our way up a little bit. Oh, almost touched. I'm just borderline stalling. When you see it start to yaw a lot, that's how you know this thing is about stalling out, and it's doing quite a bit of yawing back and forth. But we are able to keep it up. I'm kind of surprised because it's not much wind. Maybe I should turn around a little bit so I can go along this ridge. Uh-oh, you gotta watch. You don't want to get on the other side of that ridge. You can see it started sinking and it'll swirl, and this thing doesn't have a motor, so can't get back over that lip. That was a pretty good pass, pretty good speed. Come back the other way. Come right at us, see if you can hear it. You can just hear the servos chattering. But yeah, if you guys want to see a more in-depth tutorial, then maybe I could get my buddy to share what he's learned. I would call him more professional than me. I know he doesn't claim to be professional. We're all pretty humble about the hobby. We enjoy the hobby, and we're just here to have fun. And this video is not to say that I'm professional or anything like that. You guys know my videos pretty well and know that my attitude is not a know-it-all for sure, but just kind of to have some fun and encourage you guys to have some fun. Remind you that you don't have to have a really expensive plane. You could have a $5 plane like this, and you could have fun with it like I'm doing. You don't have to have a shoreline or anything like that, but you can have some fun. Find a little slope, find a little bank, and you'll notice that there's no trees at the bottom of this bank, and that helps the air to be more consistent, I would say. So that helps. If you have trees at the bottom, you might get more swirl, might be less predictable. So now you just keep flying all evening, which is probably what I'll do, at least maybe until it gets too dark or the wind dies off. But the wind might be picking up again. Usually the most calm part of the day is going to be when the sun hits the horizon, so either sunset or sunrise. And that's about where we're at. But once the sun starts dipping down, of course it gets too dark to fly, but the wind will start to pick up a little bit too. So, but again, $5. Now, this whole plane doesn't cost $5 because I have a receiver pack in there, and I've got a receiver, just a cheap Spectrum receiver in there. And if you're flying close range like this, you're fine with Spectrum. I wouldn't use it for anything like thermaling where you're going to be up really high or far away, because a lot of my buddies have lost planes with Spectrum. But for playing around here on the slopes, just really close localized flying, Spectrum works fine. So yeah, receiver and a battery, but yeah, you might not be able to go to a RC auction and pick up one for $5, but you can get foam wings pretty cheap. And this one, I believe, is called the Zagi. Now, they don't make it anymore, but they used to make it, and I think it used to be set up for a brushless motor and with a motor pod. And so if you want to get a different kind of wing and set it up, you would probably need to check your CG and all of that stuff. And I don't know that I would recommend a wing. Like, I ended up with this one just because it was $5, and $5 is kind of hard to pass up. But wing is probably not the best. It probably looks like it's flying pretty easily, but I'm really working the sticks, and it'll keep you on your toes. You can't turn your back on this because it's very unpredictable, but it is fun, and it does stay up without much wind. And but you can get something like a Conchindo, the E-flite Conchindo. Oh, we're about losing our lift. Look at that, it's just barely staying up. I think we're gonna stall out. But anyhow, you can use something like the E-flite Conchindo, and then the the UMX Conchindo is a really good flyer as well. That's a really impressive flyer, and they do good on the slopes. I get my camera adjusted here, but you can see, I think you can see here. Get it set up. What am I doing? So anyway, it's pretty dark. I didn't realize it was that dark on the camera. It's so dark you can see the moon up there at the top of the ridge. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a fun day, and again, for just a cheap $5 flyer, I'm pretty impressed with it. I wouldn't recommend that you would go and purchase a wing to get into slope soaring, but if you happen to have one, you know, you could set it up and start enjoying it. But get something like a E-Flite Conchindo is a really good beginner plane for slope soaring. That way you've got a motor you can bail out, and they handle really well. And they're just a fun, sporty flyer. I think they're a really good value for the money. The UMX Conchindo, I started telling you about that, but the UMX Conchindo is a good slope soaring aircraft as well. And I've had my UMX one out here as well, and I actually have the UMX Conchindo in the vehicle along with the larger Conchindo. So anyway, see if I can show you this sunset one more time. Probably gonna look kind of dark, but it's beautiful out. Isn't that beautiful? The Lord is the best artist for sure. But anyway, wanted to give you guys just a quick short little video. It wasn't as short as what I thought it would be, but hopefully you guys got to enjoy some of that slope soaring activity. And if you want to see more of it, let me know. Drop a comment, drop a question if you have one. I definitely don't have all the answers, but I'll try to help you find the answers, and there's really helpful people in the comment section that do answer questions, and if you're one of those people, that I appreciate you. So again, subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell icon if you want to get notified of future video uploads, and hit the thumbs up button if you like this content. Helps me know what you guys like, lets YouTube know that you guys like these videos. Share it with the friend that you think might enjoy it. Thanks again for coming along for this flight, and hope you enjoyed slope soaring. We'll be back with some more videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Let's go fly.